Affiliates in all 16 regions, also on 3news.com. We're live on Facebook. It's at 3FM 927. Connect with us at 3FM 927 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're streaming live also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey. This evening, Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo apologizes to the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament over the military assault against civilians. And a chairman will give you details of what happened today in Parliament. But take a listen.
The unfortunate incident that happened, we have all condemned it. And Minister has even apologized on behalf of the military.
We'll give you details of what happened in Parliament earlier today. But should the apology have been made to the residents of a chairman or a committee in Parliament? We'll hear from the Member of Parliament for the area who's raising questions about why the apology was made to the committee and not the residents who were the receiving end of the military brutality a couple of days ago. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We'll get into the details of that. Meanwhile, the residents are demanding an apology and compensation from the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Also, we'll take you down memory lane today on the series of bullion van attacks that rocked the country some 2 years ago, including the Adidimpo robbery incident that left a lot of people dead. We'll tell you what the latest is with that directive to banks and financial institutions in this country to use armored vehicles to transport cash from one place to the other. We'll give you details of these and more as we're joined by security analysts later on the show here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We have updates as well on what's happening with respect to the increasing rate of migration of professionals across the country into other parts of the world to seek greener pastures. Very, very shocking detail coming through this evening. Stay with us. We'll give you details of these and more, plus the latest in the world of business, sports, and entertainment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Welcome. Let's get into the details now as Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo has apologized to the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament for storming a chairman and brutalizing civilians over the killing of a young soldier. The armed personnel stormed the area over the death of the 21-year-old soldier, rounding up more than 180 people in the process. Chair of the committee, Kennedy Japan, addressing the media, said the committee will visit Ashaiman together with the military on Thursday to assuage the pain meted out to the people whilst investigations continue. This is Kennedy Japan earlier today in Parliament.
They came out and beat them. I think we all have to admit as human beings that there were excesses, and therefore we sympathize with the people of Ashama. At the same time, we also sympathize with the Ghana Armed Forces for our young men taking the law into their own hands to kill one of theirs. But a situation like this, all we can say is that we need peace. We, as members of the committee, cannot inflame passions by going there to make comments that will annoy a fashion. We are not to do that.
3FM.
Our mission is to make sure we have peace in this country. The unfortunate incident that happened, we have all condemned it. And Minister has even apologized on behalf of the military that they admit that there were excesses.
So that's a Central Member of Parliament who is the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Now, if you go on our Facebook page right now, it's at 3FM 927. We're streaming live videos of this press conference by the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament earlier today in Parliament. So you're going on our Facebook page, 3FM 927. You're going to see the videos of this press conference earlier today. But the Defense Minister, Dominic Nitiwo, also at the same press conference cautioned the citizenry to respect the men in uniform.
Incidents like this in the life of the country do happen. We are shaping up a country, and we are going to have some of these incidents, regrettable incidences happening. there. But I will still appeal to the people of Ghana to be very respectful of people in uniform. It will help all of us. But we cannot say, I will not say anything until the committee itself and us have gone on Thursday to the place and visited the place to ascertain for ourselves. One of the reasons why we are not going immediately is that investigation is still ongoing. We don't want to compromise whatever investigation that will happen. And that's why we task our colleagues to tone down on the statement so that we can all work together as unison to ensure that this tricky situation is brought under control. We want a peaceful Ghana, that's all.
Well, so that's Dominic Nituo, the Minister of Defense. Now, questions have been raised as to whether this directive, indeed, or this statement by the Defense Minister is one coming at a time like this when questions have been raised about the excesses that the military personnel were engaged in is what should be coming from the Defense Minister. But that apology that he rendered to the committee, who are the recipients or the rightful recipients of this apology? Should it have been to the people of Ashaman or the committee? Let's go on to the telephone now. And the Member of Parliament for the Ashaman constituency, Honorable Ernest Nogbe, is joining us on the telephone. Thank you, Honorable, for your time on Hot Edition. First off, if you update us on what the situation is right now in the constituency as we speak.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, good evening, to your listeners. Yeah, the situation in the constituency is calm. As at yesterday, I was able to meet the victims of the molestation and also the brutalities. I've spoken to them to remain calm whilst I offer them leadership and make sure that they are, compensated appropriately. And today I had a press conference with some of the residents in the community. I still iterated that they should remain calm whilst we make sure we fight for their rights. And I think they have listened to me, and for now, there's so much calm in the community, and everybody is going about his or her duties, appropriately. When I left the community, I came to 37 Military Hospital, where they had a burial service of the deceased military guy. So he has since been buried today, this afternoon. So from there, I had to move straight into, because I summoned a meeting between the Minister of Interior, the Committee of Defense and Interior, and also the Military High Command. So we sat in a meeting for almost 3 hours. We deliberated on the issues. They admitted, the Military High Command admitted, yes, they sanctioned it as stated in their statement, but what they were worried about was the excesses. So they agreed and they admitted that there were so much excesses in the sanctions. And the Minister of Interior also, Minister of Defense also admitted same, and they have since apologized to the good people of Ashaman through me at the committee level. And at that level, we also realized that as at yesterday, 150 people were, released from the custody of the military, and we are left with about 34, which we are working so hard for them to also be released. Some of them might have been acquiring some illegal substances, which for that one I don't have control over it. I am fighting for people, who were illegally constrained, illegally arrested and taken to the Burma camp. By anybody who is having any illegal substance, I am not for that one.
I see.
Today we have been able to talk. As I said, I summoned them. We spoke at length. We deliberated on so many issues. They apologized profusely about the excesses. So I required them to move to the ground, move to Ashaman, and also talk to the people, which they admitted that will be going there on Thursday. The Military High Command, the Minister of Defense, and even the committee will be moving to Ashaman on Thursday to talk to the people to remain calm, and that was not their intention to come and molest any innocent person. And so that is where we are. I also recommended that they have to compensate some of the victims that were molested, unlawfully, which after the meeting on Thursday, they will get the veracity or the level of degrees of injuries, and so we take it up from there. So by and large, I think we are making a headway. It was an unfortunate incident, but when problems come, you need to find a way to, mitigate it, and that is what we are doing at this point in time.
I see.
So the military high command, including the Minister of Defense and even the Speaker, pleaded for me to hold on to my statement on the floor whilst we take it up. These are security matters, and we need to handle them in a manner that they deserve so that we don't escalate any other issues. So they pleaded with me to hold on to my statement on the floor whilst we move to the ground on Thursday.
So if you say Thursday, you're talking about next week Thursday?
Next week Thursday. We were supposed to go on Tuesday, but the committee will be going to Boku to ascertain certain facts. There are certain happenings in Boku as well.
True.
We have planned this one long ago, so we'll be going to Boku, return on Monday morning. So Wednesday, the minister said he will be unavailable. So Thursday, we agreed that we'll move to the ground on Thursday.
Okay, but the 34 remaining of your constituents, your residents who are currently in the military custody, do you know when they're going to be released? What kind of interrogation they are being subjected to as we speak?
Yeah, I spoke to the CDS. He was at the meeting as well. They were moved from Dema camp to Tema for further interrogation. According to him, some of them were holding illegal substances, and so they are going to screen them further, and after which they will hand them over to the police. As we speak now, those who were not in any form, those who were not holding any form of illegal substances were released, and those who were suspected of any other illegal substances or any other crime are held in custody. But the briefing I have from the CDS, they are working so hard to screen them, and those who are found culpable will be, given to the police to deal with them, and the rest may be released in due course.
I see, but earlier we got information which you corroborated at the point that the police had already started some investigation. They had picked up some people as well. Do you have information as to the people whom the police picked up, where they are now, and whether they are still in the police custody? Because it's been more than 48 hours.
So far, it was only one person that was picked up, and not picked up, was invited questioning. That's the purported girlfriend of the deceased soldier, whom they interrogated. And according to the police, it appeared the girl is also devastated about the whole issue. The girl was with them, the guy was with her throughout the night up to 2 a.m. where they departed. And so just to wake up the following morning to see the issues or to hear the issues on social media, etc. So she was also devastated about it. So by and large, it was only one person that was even questioned as we speak now.
I see.
We are waiting to see whether more of such, victims or culprits may be arrested for further questioning.
So let me establish. So the remaining 34 of your constituents who were picked up or rounded up by the military are currently in Tema. They are the Tema.
They are currently Tema by the CDS, by what the CDS briefed me.
This is the Tema military barracks in Tema. Is it the military barracks in Tema?
Military barracks in Tema, and so they may be handing over them. They may be handing them over to the police at Tema, the regional police command.
I see. But and briefly, you talk about compensation. How are you going to determine the quantum of compensation that any of these persons who were brutalized should get?
Well, when issues of this nature happen, you form a committee to ascertain the veracity of, level of degrees of injury. So you realize that some people were, brutalized, hit by sticks. Some arms were twisted, some phones were damaged, and so the committee will determine the level of compensations given to each and every one of them. But by and large, I have set up a table where I'm putting data on this matter. Anybody that was brutalized or arrested whatsoever had to go to the hospital, take a police report, go to hospital, get a form, medical report, and then register. So I have the data as we speak now. So whatever form of compensation that may be granted them, to be left with any committee that may be formed in future to look into that.
I see. But is it not worrying, at least to you as Member of Parliament, that the military is still holding these people and, as you say, for further interrogation? Because there's been questions about whether the military has the authority to do what they are doing, as in rounding up people and interrogating them in the process, when the Ghana Police Service is already investigating the case.
Yeah, that is exactly what we are all fighting against, because the military do not have the locus to hold people. Up to over 24 hours or whatsoever. They are supposed to release him to the police for further investigation. I'm worried about it. But that is me. They are alleging that they were, people who they had found illegal substances on, and they are further screening them before they hand them over to the police. Well, I don't have any other option than to make sure that those people are handed over to the police to continue their investigation, because they have started with their investigations already. And the police were very devastated when the military invaded the place to tamper with evidence, etc. But at this point in time, all the people that they have arrested, I am pushing them to hand them over to the police for further interrogation. And the CDS admitted and has granted that leave that by the close of today, most of these people will be handed over to the Tema Police High Command.
Thank you for your time, and we'll follow up a bit more on this. Appreciate it. He's a member of parliament for the Ashaiman constituency, and Esnogbe, they're giving us updates of what's happening. So now we know that the 34 remaining residents of Ashaiman who were rounded up by the military have been moved from the Ashaiman, that's the Michelle camp, to the Tema military barracks for further interrogation. And that's where the lawyers are raising questions about the locus, the authority and the powers of the military to do what they're doing, because per the law, they cannot do what they're doing. And that is, according to the Member of Parliament, a concern to him as well. We will see what happens before close of day today, whether these 34 will be handed over to the Ghana Police Service to continue their investigations, which you understand they had commenced even before the military invaded Ashaiman a couple of days ago. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Earlier, residents of Ashaiman addressed the press, and the former Member of Parliament for the area, Alfred Ocansey, also was part of these residents. He had a few things to share.
I am aware that before the Commander-in-Chief came to power in 2016, he lived on the word of God. The battle is for the Lord, and that is what he used to come to power. I want to send a word to him that what has happened to us is a big blow to us. We are not disturbed. This battle is for the Lord. Ashaiman is not the battleground. Indeed, the battleground is at Ukraine. Anybody who wants to wage battle should go to Ukraine, not Ashaiman. But if you come here to wage war on us with soldiers, armored cars, helicopters, all that we will say is that the battle is for the Lord. And I'll give him Psalm 144. We are protected. We are guided. We are going to be under the armpit of the Lord, under Psalm 144. Because he likes quoting the Bible. Because Ufuriata likes quoting the Bible. I'm also quoting the Bible to them, that we are protected. This is not Ukraine. They should not die, because the Lord is our protector. The battle they have brought here, the Lord will protect us. Number two, as a Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I, as a former Member of Parliament and a Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Deputy Majority Leader of Parliament, we have had these things before. If somebody is dead, if somebody was murdered unlawfully, we condemn it already. The killing of the soldier is uncalled for, and the correct institution should go into it, not soldiers. So if you send the soldiers, our protector is the Lord. Under Psalm 144, Ashama is protected.
That's the former Member of Parliament for the Ashaman constituency, Alfred Ocansey there, also addressing the press when the residents earlier was convened a press conference. We'll get into a bit more of what the residents have been talking about. Let's hear from Professor Kosienin, who's security analyst, also lays the blame squarely at the doorstep of Parliament for the continuous military excesses that we've seen in the country over the last 3 years.
But I think there's a bigger challenge in the field. Parliament has not spoken. And the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior, with a deputy who was a former uniformed personnel from the Ghana Police Service, ought to have shown leadership. And that leadership is lacking. You see, because the Deputy Defense Minister, as I've said earlier on, has shown political maturity and humility. But look, there were some unfortunate excesses. But it's Parliament, and particularly the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior, that needs to invite people who did the planning to come and answer some tough questions, and to reassure the public post that conversation that, look, we've learned these lessons. Those who carried out the excesses will also be dealt with. Okay, because not 184 people did not commit the murder. What has been the reputational damage to Ghana? You know, so the armed forces itself has some lessons to learn. But I think once more, Parliament has failed the people of Ghana in not raising these questions and not being seen to show the leadership that is necessary, particularly in a sensitive period.
Right. That's Professor Kosienin there. Meanwhile, a leading member of the New Patriotic Party and ex-military officer, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has called for the immediate resignation of the Defense Minister, Dominic Nito, following the invasion of Ashama by the military. And according to Dr. Tamaklo, the attack is a dent on the minister's hold on the security of the country and shouldn't be condoned. He spoke earlier on Sunrise with Johnny Hughes.
Sort of situation that occurred a few days ago in Ashiaman, I will call on the Minister of Defense to resign now. Why? Because definitely he should be in the know. He should have advised the Commander-in-Chief better. If he has any good relationship with his service commanders, then this situation wouldn't have developed. Is he in the country or not? Now, if he's in the country, why should the deputy speak on his behalf? That begs for another question. An answer. You see, if you don't brush things under the carpet just like that, at a certain stage in governance, you will look at everything that drops, because it could be a dangerous pin.
He has further admonished the military high command to call back all soldiers on other national and individual assignments to protect the sanctity of the armed forces with what's happening now.
I would advise the high command to keep its troops in the barracks. We have all of them all over the place. And the so-called safe fields, they should call all of them back to barracks. That is where they belong. They are from external forces. External one is the work of the police. And that must be made clear to them. That is number one thing they should. All soldiers on various missions across the country must be called back to their barracks. That is where they belong, so that they can focus on why they got into the armed forces. That is to soldier, not to be assistants to this, to that, to that. No, a soldier has no business guarding anyone. That is the work of the police, so that they can focus on their work as soldiers, and soldier on be called back to their barracks. That is where they belong, so that they can focus on why they got into the armed forces. That is to soldier, not to be assistants to this, to that, to that. No, a soldier has no business guarding anyone. That is the work of the police, so that they can focus on their work as soldiers, and soldier on to defend this country.
So that's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo there. It's actually emerging that the ordeal suffered by some residents of Shaman on Tuesday did not end when they were taken into the military custody. As at this afternoon, sources picked up information that some of the over 150 persons screened by the military and later released were subjected to further beatings while in custody. And that's why the residents of Ashaman earlier today addressed a news conference, and they said they're recommending the setting up of an investigative committee. That's a convener of Ashaman Lives Matter, Emmanuel Komade, also called for the release of all arrested persons. I want to take a listen to him in that press conference earlier today, get details of what the residents are asking for.
We are saying loud and clear that we have suffered enough, and enough is enough. If citizens cannot sleep peacefully in their home, where else should they find peace in a democratic country like Ghana? We are therefore, as a matter of urgency, one, calling on the president to order the immediate release of all residents of Ashama that the soldiers are illegally keeping in their custody. Two, calling on the president to immediately set up a committee to investigate the criminal acts of the soldiers and the culprits punished. Three, calling on the president to direct the Minister of Defense to pay all the damaged properties of the Ashama residents caused by the soldiers. Four, pay adequate compensation to all victims of the military brutalization.
That's the convener for the Ashaman Lives Matter, Emmanuel Komade. Let's go on to the telephone lines now. And Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst joining us on this one, and some of the developments we're learning so far, and things are playing out. And remember, today is exactly 2 years that the arrest of the bullion van robbers, in fact, suspects, during that Adedingpo robbery. And you recall that led to the death of a police officer and then one constable as well, Emmanuel Osei. And then also, eventually, when the police rounded up a number of people, stormed the area in an attempt to arrest certain persons, 2 people were shot dead. So that's also coming up at a time when we're talking about the modus operandi of storming the area and rounding up, suspects when an incident happened. Dr. Adam Bona, thank you so much for your time on Hot Edition. First off, you've heard some of the residents, and in fact, we spoke to a member of parliament and a Snogbe for Shaman who makes the point that the remaining 34 residents who have been held have currently been moved to the Tema military barracks for further interrogation. Are you concerned, like many, that the military appears to be overstepping its bounds in interrogation when the law does not permit them to do so?
Oh, yes, good evening. Yes, I am concerned because then, as a citizen, I will want that each one of us, our fundamental human rights as enshrined in the Constitution, Chapter 5 of the Constitution, actually is upheld and respected. And so my point is that there should, at no point should any Ghanaian feel less of a citizen within this country. And fundamental human rights are international by nature. And so it is not just Ghanaians whose rights must be respected. Everyone who finds himself within the four corners of this country, the law mandates, the Republic of Ghana to take care of that person as if that person is a citizen of, of Ghana. And it is because we equally would have our own citizens in wherever these persons are coming from and are residing in our country. And so I think that no one's, liberty should be curtailed. And if it has to be done, it has to be by due process, by law. And so I would want to say that if these persons who were picked up by the military are still in the custody of the military, that I would say is unconstitutional. That I would say is an affront to the rule of law. That I would say should never have happened, because if you look at our the Criminal Offences Act, or if you look at the Act 30, the Procedure Act, it details how arrests must be made if you are a private citizen. Military officers, of course, are not police officers, so they don't possess prosecutorial powers. And so if you are arrested, the law mandates you that the crime should have happened in your presence. Okay, the law says the crime should have happened in your presence. If you look at what do you call that, the section, I think it's section 12 of Act 30, it tells you that as a private citizen, if it's a police officer, the law says you can do that with reasonable suspicion if it's in the person. But in this case, it is neither of the two. So mine is that holding these people is just a breach of law, and it shouldn't be. I would urge the military to release them as soon as possible, unconditionally. They should be released unconditionally. There is a saying in law that it is better to free 1,000 suspected criminals than to incarcerate one innocent person. At the moment as we speak, I'm sure you are aware that the same law says that innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
Indeed.
And here we are, they are being held for reasons that I think the police can deal with. So I would urge that they should be released unconditionally, because then it doesn't augur well for us, especially when we just celebrated our 65th independence anniversary, and then the Fourth Republic itself is about 30 years old. I think we should be jubilating and saying we've done well. But doing well, it shouldn't be, this way. If you ask me, it shouldn't be this way, not at all.
Indeed. And one other issue that you're concerned about is the bullion van robberies. In fact, it's about 2 years ago, we were hit with this story of the robbery in Adedenkpo near Jamestown, led to the death
if you can raise your voice,
that led to the death of a police officer there. Yeah. Now, afterwards, the then IGP directed the financial institutions to use armored vehicles to transport cash from one place to the other. How far has this directive been carried out? Because the last time we checked, just about 60 armored bullion vans had been procured by the Ghana Association of Banks. That's what we know so far. Has enough been done in this regard?
I think I am worried. I am worried for about 3 reasons. I'm worried for about 3 reasons. And the first reason has to do with the fact that human lives must not be wasted. Because we have to transport some money that belongs to some people, if you understand what I'm saying. These people who carry this money around, the monies don't belong to them. The monies belong to, if you are a police officer, you are sitting in front of a farm pickup or a pickup truck, a soft pickup truck, converted into something that looks like, a containerized pickup to carry money. Your life is at risk, just like this police officer in Adedenkpo who was killed in that manner. Also, the bank staff themselves, who go around collecting this money. The other thing has to do with the fact that those who want to bring them in, we still don't have laws to regulate the importation, the storage, and the usage of these bullion vans. You know, I have said it, that yes, we want to make sure we bring in the bullion vans to make sure lives and properties are protected. But we have to also be circumspect and be pushing the Bank of Ghana and probably letting the Interior Minister also do a bit more to get the regulations put together, the laws, done and sent to Parliament for approval. Because as we speak, there is no law that I'm aware that regulates the importation and the usage of, bullion vans. And bullion vans are war materials. They are war materials. So if you allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to bring it in, if you are not careful, bullion van owners in this country would overthrow the Fourth Republican Constitution, because bullion vans are armored vehicles. They are armored plated vehicles. And so their usage and storage and importation must be highly regulated by law. Who brings it in and for what purpose and where, it is going to be kept. It's very important. So for me, this is what I can say.
I see. Now, we still see most of these financial institutions using these modified pickups as bullion vans, and we still have, in most cases now, the military are the ones who are seen in a pickup behind these modified pickups carrying the cash. I mean, so who has to step in if there is no law, but there's been a directive to have the financial institutions do this?
At the moment, they're giving some limited license to some banks. I'm aware of it, to bring them in. And so I think that at the moment they are doing it, but it's in a piecemeal. So I think we should give them time and see. But let's push Bank of Ghana to do that.
Dr. Adambona, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. Appreciate it.
Your call has been...
That's Dr. Adambona, a security analyst. But just so you know this, a notorious robbery syndicate trailed a bullion van, which was on cash collection rounds here in Accra, attacked the depot in Jamestown. This about some 2 years ago. In that attack, a police constable, Emmanuel Osei, if you go on our Facebook page right now, 3FM 92.7, you'll see the pictures of this police constable as we go down memory lane, and then the videos of what happened that particular day. Emmanuel Osei, who was on escort duty on the bullion van, was gunned down by the robbers. A trader also got hit by a stray bullet and died in the process. Now, almost 2 years later, the police announced the arrest of the syndicate, who was said to be led by some members of the police service. Now, the leader was identified as Police Constable Ofosu and known by his colleagues as Pablo. You remember? Now, he was also killed. And they were somewhere in Ashaiman as well. So the robberies led to the Bank of Ghana issuing a directive for banks and other financial institutions to procure armored vans solely for the purpose of transporting cash. What has been the situation now? My colleague Komla Dom recalls the events in this report.
Among the small groups gathered around the crime scene, the talk is about what could have been and how some of the residents escaped death by a whisker. A video I obtained shows the deceased mother of three, Joyce Samankwa, known better as Sister Bedu, lying face down in a pool of blood after being hit by one of many bullets fired by the armed men that day. She had dashed into the structure to serve a client who had stopped by her convenience store when the assailants went trigger happy.
It is scary because I had met her that morning, only to return to hear she has been killed. Who would cater for her children?
That was the end of the mother of three. Two vehicles parked at a crowded mechanic shop also have bullet holes. Kwesi Minta says he narrowly escaped death.
On my way to lunch, I heard a gunshot. I took cover only to return to see the policeman in a pool of blood. His weapon was taken away.
Those who saw the incident at close range remain traumatized. Another video I have obtained shows the aftermath of the killing of a constable Emmanuel Osei, who was shot multiple times in the head. Nana Ahin had to run for his life. The woman was attending to me and one other client when the robbers showed up and started shooting indiscriminately. So before she could emerge out of the shop, she was hit by a bullet. The robbers then went ahead to shoot the police officer multiple times in the head. Police CID officials and personnel from the Jamestown Police, led by the crime officer, have been interrogating witnesses and other residents as investigations continue into the incident. The residents hope the police can apprehend the killers if it means relying on cameras fitted at the intersection. In the meantime, they say beefing up security around here will do them a lot of good.
I'm not like We
plead with the police to enforce the laws so these crimes would be prevented.
That's my colleague Kamla Dom there taking us down memory lane. It's been 2 years after this Adedempo bullion van robbery, and not much has been done in carrying out the directive to get the banks to use armored vehicles to transport cash from one location to the other. Dela Michelle is here, and with the world of business news. This certainly must be of concern to you. I know it's something you've been keeping an eye on over the period.
Indeed, we have.
We're going to go for this quick break. When we're back, we're getting to business news. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
Let's now do some business news, and tonight economists are urging the Bank of Ghana to consider reducing the cost of borrowing during the next policy committee meeting slated for this month. The MPC of the Bank of Ghana is expected to meet in the coming days to deliberate on the health of the economy and to possibly conclude with a decision on the policy rate.
Bank of Ghana at its last sitting raised the policy rate by 100 basis points to 28%. The January move was the 7th hike since November 2021, totaling 1,450 basis points. Financial economist with the University of Professional Studies, Dr. Jibril Mohammed, said the committee must consider reducing interest rates to propel private sector growth.
I'm expecting that they should reduce the policy rate so that the lending rates can come down, and that can have a positive impact on businesses' ability to borrow and expand. Because currently we have higher unemployment rate because businesses are not able to produce well and are not able to expand, and for that matter, they cannot employ.
The call to reduce the policy rate comes as Ghana struggles with multiple economic crises and tries to secure an International Monetary Fund loan. Courage Boti, however, says a reduction in the policy rate will not augur well.
I understand with the sharp decline in T-bill rate, it would improve the Ghana reference rate and by extension the rate at which loans could be procured. That in itself, if you like, is a way of reducing cost of credit and probably increasing lending if the banks are minded. So there are a lot of risks there to inflation which the Bank of Ghana need to be cautious about. And that is why my expectation will be that they will maintain their cautious and potentially even increasing the policy rate again.
And we do understand that the Bank of Ghana will be having this crunch meeting in the coming days that we'll keep an eye on. Away from that, the Ghana Chamber of Agribusiness says it is not enough for government to be rolling out new policies in the agriculture sector without ensuring their proper and effective implementation. President of the Chamber, Anthony Morrison, said the sector is already saddled with a number of policies which are yet to achieve results despite challenges facing players across the value chain. He was reacting to the president's latest announcement of a policy to reduce some $10 billion spent on importation at the State of the Nation address.
If you are seeking to reduce importation bill and the very ingredient, the input that will enhance increase in production and yields that will enable the reduction in importation, is being hampered by an introduction of a different, which is a 5% total levy on this sector. And this cannot be realized. Because if you are taxing an industry where you want to increase productivity, a lot of the private sector are not going to engage in it. Secondly, there is no money even in the sector now to, for instance, we are having challenges with even access to forex, to even import some of these things. So if those who are doing the little that they can are being imposed, taxes are being imposed on them, how do you expect them to be viable? How do you expect them to be profitable in their engagement? And this will also affect production. This doesn't just require rhetoric. This requires pragmatic and strategic adoption of homegrown indigenous strategies that will support indigenous production. This is what we are talking about. The over-reliance of importation is hampering on our food security, it's increasing the importation bill, and it's taking a lot of people out of job. It's creating a lot of unemployment among the youth, and it's not supporting us to grow an export strategy.
You heard the voice of Anthony Morrison. He is with the Chamber of Agribusiness. Let's do it with the importers and exporters, as they've also been reacting to the president's policy about ban importation. According to the executive secretary of the chamber, Samson Asaki Awengabet, the country over-reliance on imported goods is as a result of high cost of local production.
If government will allocate the budget will go into these producers, be it the pork producers, be it the maize producers, farmers, be it rice growers, and with a lower interest rate. But at the moment, 40% interest rate from the commercial banks, even if you are a farmer, it's the name that you are a farmer, but at what rate, at what percentage of the in terms of tonnage of maize, in terms of tonnage of rice, in terms of tonnage of soya beans, because to boost your poultry sector, you need maize and soya beans at a cheaper cost to feed this poultry.
Samson Awengabet is with the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Before we wrap up, they've also been engaging the ambassador to Korea here in Ghana, who says they are ready to trade with us.
If AFCFTA is going into full operation, I think it will give good opportunity to Korean businesses. They extend their market to other African countries.
And that's all the business news we have for you right here on Hot Edition. Log on to tweenies.com for more business news.
Della Michelle, thank you so much. You know, the Black Stars squad has been named by Chris Hilton.
Yeah.
Ray Krampofo is here with the details. Any changes?
Well,
is Dede, are you in the squad?
Yeah, Dede.
Jordan is in the squad?
Jordan
is then it's the same. We've given up.
There's actually been 7 changes.
7 changes?
Yeah, since the World Cup.
They may not be significant. I'm talking about significant changes like those two getting out of it.
Yeah, but that's been the big story today. You know, Chris Hilton has been appointed. It's been almost 3 weeks now. But the squad announcement is always what everyone is waiting for.
Absolutely.
And, he announced it today. Let me just quickly run through the squad. There's a 25-man squad. For goalkeepers, there's Loris Atizigi, Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, Joseph Olokot. Defenders, Tariq Lamte, Dennis Odoi, Gideon Mensah, Patrick Pozo counts in for a debut call-up ahead of the injured Papa Rahman. Daniel Amate comes in, Joseph Edu, Mohamed Salisu, and Alexander Jiku. In midfield, you have Thomas Partey, Majid Ashmeru, Abdul Salis Samed, and Edmond Addo, who makes a return to the squad. squad after missing the World Cup. The wingers are Jordan Ayew, Osman Bukhari, Joseph Pinto, who also returned after missing the World Cup, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Ransford Yeboah, Koningsdorfer, and up front you have Mohamed Kudus, Andrew Ayew, Kamal Soa, Inaki Williams, and Antoine Semenyo. This is the squad for the doubleheader against Angola. And joining me on phone right now is my colleague Kelvin Owusu-Ansah. Kelvin, you've seen the squad, you've seen the social media commentary. What has been your analysis of the team? Do you think it's the best possible squad we can assemble at the moment?
Well, I think it's been a pretty fair squad, and especially for a coach who had been part of the team for the past 1 year, and just after the recent World Cup debacle, would want to try his available players he's worked with before, those he can instill some trust in and see if he can get the best out of it. A couple of changes in the squad in there, but fairly, I think, with the materials we have on the international front and the best available quality, I think these are the best we can assemble. Probably one or two names may pop up in conversations like Babai Bisuwa is not in the squad, but someone like Edmond Addo makes the squad, and all that. But I think generally it's a pretty good squad that we have in here from Chris Hughton.
All right, thank you very much, Kelvin, for joining us this evening on Hot Edition. The Black Stars play Angola in Kumasi on Thursday, March 23rd, before traveling to Angola for the reverse fixture 4 days later. Remember, Ghana and Angola are both tied on 4 points at the top of the group for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers.
Very cool. Great stuff. Thank you so much for this. What are your, predictions? It's too early to say, but I mean, Angola has been something too much of trouble for us.
Yeah, they've not been trouble, but they're in good form. They've not lost so far. Picked up a win and a draw in their games, and so we're looking forward to a tough test. I think it's the first time I've seen the Black Stars after the World Cup. We will see how they gel under a new coach, Chris Hughton, who's not a stranger to the team because he's been around for the past year.
Absolutely. We'll see how things play out. Thank you so much, Rekompo, for the sports news. Fire has gutted a building at Cutoff Junction at Tesano near Kaza Maza restaurant, believed to be a warehouse. Several medical supplies meant to manage the COVID-19 pandemic were reportedly destroyed by the fire. The actual cause of the fire is not yet known. However, according to eyewitnesses, the fire commenced around 1 p.m. and was characterized by an explosion. They added that the fire started when two trees fell on an electric distribution line close to the building. Keeping an eye on that, and we'll be updating you, our listeners and viewers, on Facebook. And Anita Ekia Ekufo is here with the entertainment news. Kwame Eugene was in the house.
Yes, he was here. I mean, he spoke about a lot of things, and one of the things he spoke about was his absence. Of course, he's been away for quite a while, and a lot of people were asking, where's Kwame Eugene? I mean, most people thought that he was even done with Lynx Entertainment, but he's just given us a bit of detail into why he's been away, and that was on the 3FM Drive with Giovanni Caleb.
Regards to what the deal with Empire. Yes, they're trying as much as possible for me to stay away from plenty of the negativities that come out of the interviews that I do. Some of the interviews you may feel either you can't about Watali instead of the music, and I can't about stolen song. And they can't blame some part of the system for not understanding what is going on. Do you understand? So all they can do is, in order to stop the bad news from being too much in the air than the good news, all the bad. They're trying to minimize the amount of bad news that comes from the interviews that I go. So they are very picky with where I should go. And it's been some time now, and I haven't had a lot of music out there. Like right now I Feel Nice and single, and my new song Cryptocurrency. It's been a while since I had 3 bangers at the same time.
Yeah, the one you wrote to me, right?
So I'm back doing interviews, but then again, they would love for me to shy away from the interviews that comes with a lot of controversy that won't help the brand.
We are honored to have you on.
And some more stories. Come May 13, 2023, two best friends, Fred Nyama and actor John Dumelo, will be contesting in the Ayawaso West Wuogon parliamentary primaries of the NDC. Many have said that it would have been better for one to step down, for the other to go for the slot. Well, founder of the Ghana Movie Awards, Fred Nyama, has said he is surprised John Dumelo backtracked on a decision not to contest. And according to Fred Nyama, John Dumelo initially had no intention to join the Ayawaso West Wuogon race. Rather, he eyed another constituency. He says it's late to step down because John Dumelo gave his blessings when he made up his mind to contest. And to our final story, dancehall artist Samini has cautioned civilians against making comments that could escalate the situation in Ashaman after a military swoop in the area. In a tweet shared on March 8, 2023, the musician indicated that authorities could always find expressions to defend their actions or inactions. Hence, it is safer to not utter any remarks, to take any action that could lead to a negative consequence as far as the Ashaman incident is concerned. What can a civilian say after this statement? Watch your mouth, my youth. There's always the right terminology to justify an action or inaction, and that to condemn a reaction or rebellion, known to which side you belong, and act accordingly. Do not fuel the fire you can't fight, Samini advised. So that'll be all for entertainment. My name is Anita Ikea-Kufu. Alfred, over to you.
Anita, thank you so much. A good advice from Samini, by the way. Quiet. Silence is golden sometimes. I find more on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. But before we go, members of the minority in parliament, they've welcomed the decision by the NDC to suspend campaign, or that's the sitting members of parliament to suspend the campaign in their constituencies. Now, here are some of the NDC MPs speaking to my colleague Komla Kloche in parliament after that directive by the General Secretary Fifi Kwete yesterday.
And that time will be around 31st when we go on recess. So it is not anything that is unusual. And I feel that every member of parliament or majority of members of parliament believe that this is the right thing to do. At least give them the peace of mind to focus on.
Will this not affect some of the MPs? Of course, whilst you're here working in the interest of the democracy, others are equally campaigning against you, using all sort of propaganda and others.
Yes.
Would that not affect a good number of you as well?
Well, majority of us are being contested. So this directive does help in a way that the party is bigger than all of us. The party says no campaign activities until that time. So if you decide to flout the party's directives and you are caught, the party will deal with it. It's as simple as
this
that.
Is to the MPs.
Yes, the constituencies that have sitting MPs.
Okay.
That it's directed at the constituencies with sitting MPs. Of course, if the seat is, a seat that we don't occupy, it means there's no MP from that constituency, so it doesn't affect them.
Okay. All right.
My problem with the directive only is enforcement. What constitutes campaign? So if an aspirant gets up and go to the house of the delegates, does that constitute campaign or not? And so how are you going to monitor that? How are you going to enforce that? Okay, if he has a secret location, he takes the aspirants to those places to go and do the thing. How do you monitor that? So the biggest issue will be compliance. How and enforcement? How will it be enforced?
You will have very limited time to campaign. Looking at the directive from your party, you think it's a good one?
Well, it is. I mean, some of us, to be very honest with you, particularly sitting MPs, what you have done over the past 2 years should tell. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of businesses to do in Parliament, and numbers matter in this Parliament. So the party decision and the caucus was that we cannot afford to miss a single person. So we should always, and at any point in time, be in the House. We are dealing with a political party, the MPP, that is evasive. They can do anything at any point in time.
As Honorable Murtala Mohammed ending that report from Parliament That's the members of the minority NDC in Parliament. They've welcomed the decision by the party for them to suspend campaigning in their constituencies ahead of the primaries. That's how we end Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us more on the 3FM Drive with Giovanni and DJ Abiam. Join me at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight on TV3. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great evening.